Hey guys, what's up? It is Anna and welcome to my world. Today's video is another true crime video, and this one is very unique and just extremely weird and crazy, and I know I'm sure that I say that on every true crime video, but this one is just, it's kind of baffling, to be completely honest. And this is also one that like genuinely got to me and made me have a panic attack. When normally hearing about these true crime cases, whether it's serial killers or recently, you know, I did one over Evelyn Boswell and Lori Vallow and her missing children, and and I'm not trying to say that they're not sad and terrible, because they are, but normally I don't get panic attacks from them, but this one in particular I did. And so basically I'll get more into that, but today's video is over the double homicide case of Abigail, known as Abby Williams, and Liberty German. So if you're interested in hearing about this very confusing cold case of these two young teenage girls, then keep on watching today's video. Okay guys, so like I said, today's video is about Abby Williams and Liberty German. Now, I first heard about this, first of all, I did get a request to do this video, and then it clicked that I remembered this because I watched the True Crime Queen here on YouTube, Kendall Rae's video over these girls, and actually watching it at night, this is one, like I said before, I actually got a panic attack watching it because of just the contents of it, which obviously we'll get more into as the video goes on. But like I said, of course, this is over two teenage girls, Abby being 13, Liberty being 14. These girls were 8th graders and they were the best of friends. They both were murdered, and this is a cold case, and of course I'm sure you guys know cold case means it has not been solved, the case is cold. So basically, to get into the story, we have Abby and Liberty, like I said, are the best of friends. Abby's 13. She's raised by her mother, Anna, who is a single mother. They were very, very close. It was said that they had a like best friend relationship. And Liberty was raised by her grandparents, who had had custody of her since she was around 3 years old, and those two girls were inseparable. They were the best of friends. They were in 8th grade, and basically one day, February the 13th of 2017, they decided to go out and just hang out on a day off of school. And these two girls, they wanted to go out hiking and just, you know, out in the wilderness. And by the way, I do want to say that this case is in Indiana, specifically Delphi, Indiana, and this case is also known as the Delphi murder. So maybe you've heard of it before with, you know, that name, I'm not sure, but anyway, it was in Delphi, Indiana, which is a pretty small town, if I do say so myself, around 3,000 people total that actually live in that town. And so obviously that's not a lot of people, and it makes for a small, tight-knit kind of community. But anyway, Abby and Liberty really wanted to just go have some fun that day. So they were actually dropped off at this kind of hiking trail area by this bridge, into which the bridge is actually called the Monon Bridge or Monon High Bridge. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but that was the name of the bridge. They were dropped off there just to hang out and have some seemingly innocent fun. And actually, after they got dropped off and were playing on the bridge, there was a Snapchat that was taken on Liberty's Snapchat, and it was of one of the girls on the bridge playing around. It was to, you know, document their time out there, and that was the last seen photo of them. And so then around the time when they were supposed to go home and whomever was going to pick them up, whenever they got there, they were nowhere to be found. Like I said, this was on February 13th, and I think the time was around 3 p.m. So they went to go pick them up, and there was no girls to be found. Abby and Liberty were just gone. So also, I do want to say, just to get to know a little bit more about the girls, Anna Williams, who was Abby's mother, was just talking about how basically these girls were smart. They had already honestly had their career paths pretty planned out. They've been talking about it for years, for wanting to work in forensics. It was said that Liberty wanted to help in crime scenes and to, you know, finding bad guys and helping out in that sense. And so, you know, they were smart girls, and so then therefore when the parents got there to pick them up and they weren't there, they knew that they just wouldn't run away. That was just not like them at all. So it was definitely unsettling, and they knew that something had to be wrong. It wasn't right for them not to be there. So of course, after this happened, they obviously went home, they reported it, and the searches went underway to find these girls. And unfortunately, the very next day, February 14th, Valentine's Day of 2017, they found the bodies of Abby and Libby, and they were down from the bridge. So like, the bridge is really high up. Honestly, looking at it makes me kind of shiver. Like, I don't like heights, and it just But their bodies were found down from the bridge. So bridge up here, the bodies were down here, and of course there was pretty much claimed that it was a double homicide. And interestingly enough, on Libby's phone there was video footage of who they expected was the murderer. And it's just crazy to me that, you know, they were actually able to get that footage, and it was clearly of a man walking on the bridge, and there was even audio from this clip. And basically on that audio, the man was saying the words "down the hill."
America is a nation of detectives today, trying to identify the suspect in this photo and this voice.
And that was the audio. It was just "down the hill," and it's very chilling to listen to. I think I remember when I first heard of that, that's what made me start having a panic attack. It was just very, very eerie. And honestly, on the footage you can get a really good outlining look of this man. So for this still to be a cold case, I know I'm kind of jumping the gun here, it's just kind of insane to me, and we'll get in a little bit to theories and why this may still be a cold case. But they were able to see this man and get a good drawing of him, and it was basically said, you know, he was probably around 5'6", close to probably around 200 pounds, and probably in his 40s to 50s. And now this is going to change a little bit here in the story down the road, but you know, just starting out, that's what they thought this man to be. So about 5'6", around 200 something pounds, 40s to 50s. And to me, that looks pretty accurate in my opinion. So they had that, they even had audio of him. So when they were going to look to find out who this man was, it's just insane to me on how they had so many problems and dead ends actually trying to find this man. And also, I want to state that this is what was, first of all, was going through my head, and then in my research, you know, just researching about this, after I had thought it, I'd read that other people thought the same thing. So I'm not the only one that thinks that this man is probably somebody in that community, not just a passerby or like a hitchhiker or something like that. In my opinion, and I believe others feel this way, you know, as well, I think this man honestly is probably a man with a high up position slash well-to-do man in this community. I think even if he doesn't live here, I think maybe he visits there a lot, and I personally though think that he does live there. Maybe not as far as him being a policeman himself, but I think that he is probably someone that a lot of people know, and that he's there, you know. I think he's still probably working and living there in that community, and for some reason he just can't be found. Which also leads me to another point that the police say, that they think that with over 48,000 tips, that maybe possibly some people are afraid. Maybe this man has a hold on people. Maybe he's threatening people, or just the people in general feel threatened because, you know, coming with the leads and stuff, it's still not making sense on how he's not being found. So maybe they think that he's threatening people, or that there's some kind of, I guess per se, inside job with it. Well, not like an inside job, but like people know stuff, but they're not saying because they're afraid. That's the better way to put it, but that's what police are thinking as well. And there's also thoughts to be DNA, but we don't know what from, whether it's like a cigarette butt, or, you know, or something from his body if there was any kind of assault. But they do think that this man is in that community. And like I said at the beginning of the video, this town of Delphi literally only has around 3,000 people, and that's really not much for a whole town. So if you remember just like a little while back when I gave you the description of the man from the photo that the sketch artist sketched up, when they said he was around 5'6" to 5'8", around 180 to 200 pounds, in his 40s and 50s, well, a couple of years later, the police came out to say that they didn't really think he was that old anymore. They came out to say that he could have been from anywhere from 18 years old to 40 years old, and that honestly he probably looked younger than what he was. And they even drew up a new sketch, and of course I'll leave it on the screen here, but I find this to be weird. I don't know. I don't understand where they're coming from with that, to be completely honest with you. I think their first description and first, well, not mugshot, but sketch looked a lot more like the man in that photo than an 18-year-old that would look somewhat like this picture right here. Like, that just doesn't make sense. I personally believe he was probably in his late 40s, 50s by the way he looks in that photo. He looks like a dad, like a dad to a teenager who probably lives in a normal home doing a normal job. That's what the guy to me looks like. So I'm not really for sure why they changed their minds and kind of updated how they think he looked and stuff like that. I really don't understand that, but that's what they kind of came out to say now. And I do want to mention that that was in 2019. So that's kind of where it was left off with suspects. But I do also want to say that most recently, the newest thing to happen, which by the way, the most recent stuff I said was in 2019, a man actually committed suicide and was thought to be a suspect in this case. Now, of course, they don't know if it's him or not, but it just seemed like it could be, like there could be something there. And this man was 55-year-old Paul Eder, and he shot himself after a really long standoff with the police on June 27th. And like I said, he was investigated and all of this, but I just don't think anything's really came out of it. And they were looking into him because he was suspected of the sexual assault and kidnapping of a 26-year-old woman. So yeah, like I said, still nothing's really came of that though, and that's really all the information that anyone has on this. And I know that wasn't like a whole lot, like there wasn't a whole bunch of stuff really to this story because no one knows, and it's just crazy to me. And I really want to know what your thoughts are down below. I mean, they have even speculated that maybe it wasn't a one-man job, although I really think it was just that guy. I think he saw them when they were playing on that bridge and he did something. And I still think, once again, that he probably was well-to-do in that community in some way, shape, or form. And I'm just really curious to know what you guys think down below. And I just really want to cover this case because, like I said, I just found it to be so confusing and just odd. And I really, really hope and pray one day they truly do find out who did this, because they do have what seems to be a lot of information and now said to be some type of DNA, although we don't know what. So hopefully sometime here soon, fingers crossed, prayer said, that they will find out who did this and get justice. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's true crime video. Please, please, please give this a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more true crime videos and other videos as well. I do so much on this channel, whether it is fashion, makeup, beauty, true crime, crystal stuff, vlogs, so many different things. So definitely come join the family here. It would mean so much to me. You can subscribe by hitting my face right up there, and you can watch another one of my videos by clicking right over there. And like I said, it would mean so much to me. And definitely go subscribe to my main channel. It's Anna Louise for all the pet stuff. And other than that, I hope you have a great day or night or whenever you may be watching this, and I will see you guys in my next one.